I told my parents they deserved to be kicked out of my sister's wedding. This story came May 15th, 2025. So, my 37 female brother, Mike, 35 male, is a knob. Such a sister thing to say. Always has been and always will be. He has been babied to a point of uselessness by our mom and dad, and that has made him an entitled slob. When he was younger, he showed promise playing rugby, which had my mom and dad believing that he was going to be a superstar. The problem was that he never had the work ethic to fully fulfill his potential. However, this meant that he was the golden boy of the family, and he could do no wrong in my parents' eyes. He was a bully at school, which they brushed off as other kids making up lies, but he was an even bigger bully at home to our younger sister, Kelly, who is 31 female. He would constantly prank her, which basically meant that he would do anything he could to embarrass her, including things like pulling her dress up in front of the whole family at a wedding when she was 15. Yeah, see, that's where I see red. I don't care what age. I mean, at 15, I was probably even, I'm going to juvie. Mom and dad just said it was siblings being siblings, but the rest of the family were mortified by his behavior. I did try and stick up for my sister, and it worked to a certain extent, but after I went away to university, there wasn't much I could do as my mom and dad just don't listen to anyone. It got so bad that when she was 18, my sister gave up on going to her dream university, St. Andrews, and instead moved to London to go to the Imperial College of London. This was a huge shock to all of us, as she had been talking about St. Andrews since she started high school at 11. Wait, okay, maybe different school system? High school at 11 years old? What do you mean? Okay, that's right. School systems are different in different places, Jocelyn. When I asked why, she said that St. Andrews was too close to home and she would be expected to go back home more often. But if she went to London, she would only have to go home for Christmas. This broke my heart. After she left, she did exactly that. The only time she was home was for Christmas and when I got married. This really annoyed my mom and dad, as they said that she was abandoning the family. I kept my mouth shut and I just let them whine occasionally, as I didn't want an argument. After graduating from university, my parents expected her to move back home, but she didn't. She got a job working in southern England and stayed down there. We are from Scotland, for reference. 6 years ago, Kelly met a great guy, Jake, 30 male. The day she met him, she called me gushing about him, and I've honestly never heard her speak about anyone the way she does about him. I've met him several times when I've gone down to visit Kelly, and he's great. Good looking, funny, great job, his family is lovely, and most importantly, he treats Kelly like she hung the moon. It's very cute. After she met him, she cut down on how much she came home even more as she spent the first Christmas with his family, and then the pandemic happened, so she ended up not coming home for 3 years. Her first Christmas home, Mike started his usual BS, trying to be the center of attention. When it didn't work out as well as he wanted, as most of the family were more interested in getting to know Jake, he then tried to prank Kelly. He got a big bowl of water and was going to pour it all over her. Jake saw what was happening and stepped in front of Kelly, telling Mike to not even think about it. Side note, Jake is 6'3" and has been doing martial arts since he was 4, so he can be very intimidating when needed. My mom and dad tried to play it off as a harmless prank, but Jake was having none of it. Mike started whining about it just being a prank, and Jake told him that if he pranked Kelly one more time, that he would prank Jake by putting his foot up his arse and his fist down his throat. I mean, dumping a bowl of water on your siblings in your 30s and calling it a prank? Are you kidding? I don't know about that. I can't even imagine. I got a lot of siblings. Nah. And if they even they know better. Kelly and Jake left about an hour later, but after that, Mike, my mom, and dad all had an issue with Jake. Kelly has not been back home since. That leads us to now. Kelly and Jake are getting married. They sent out invites in February for August. However, they didn't invite Mike. My mom and dad are obviously incensed by this and had a huge argument with Kelly. They threatened not to go, and Kelly just said no problem, she would get granddad to walk her down the aisle. I went around to their house on Saturday with my kids. Immediately, my mom started complaining about Kelly and the wedding. I sat and listened for a while, but I had had enough. off. I asked her what she actually expected. Her and Dad allowed Mike to be the golden child and get away with everything. Because of that, he can't keep a relationship due to him thinking everyone should do everything for him. He can't hold down a job because every job is beneath him, and he's still living at home with zero prospects in life. The man-child is a bully who I don't trust to be around my children unsupervised. He bullied Kelly for most of her teen years, and her only escape was to move over 400 miles away and never come home. My mom got very quiet and then asked me to leave. A few hours later, my dad called, going mad because I had upset my mom and was taking the side of an ungrateful little girl instead of my parents who gave me everything. This started a huge argument between me and him where I told him that he had been a crap dad to Kelly and didn't deserve to walk her down the aisle. I had just had enough, but now I've gotten my extended family members telling me that I've gone too far, and my mom is barely speaking to anyone and keeps crying. My granddad said it was about time I told them off, but my grandma is upset by all the arguing. So, am I the a-hole for telling my parents that they sucked and deserved to be kicked out of my sister's wedding? Maybe we could have worded it a little differently. Maybe like, well, I understand Kelly's perspective. Why would she want Mike there? And like, maybe we could have just had a different conversation. However, I don't like that they stick up for Mike and that they allow Kelly to be treated that way by him and be like, oh, it's just the prank. At this age, come on. Like 15 is one thing. Give me a break. But you guys know that some of my favorite opinions are the opinions of Reddit, so we're going to check out some of the top comments so far. Someone commented and said, not the a-hole. If they can't stand the truth, they need to hibernate. I vote Grandpa walks her down the aisle regardless of who attends. OP responded and said, my sister isn't changing her mind. They aren't going to the wedding no matter what. She only invited them as she thought it was the right thing to do in the first place. So, Granddad will be walking her no matter what. Got it. So Mom and Dad were still invited to the wedding, but no matter what, Dad was not walking her down the aisle. So to her, it's like, well, show up or don't show up. It makes no difference to me. Next comment. Not the a-hole. Your parents failed both of your siblings, and it's going to get worse when they realize your sister won't invite them to her events, and when they realize that their son will become homeless after they pass. Honestly, I'm shocked your brother hasn't been arrested yet. Oh, OP said he has. Multiple times. Getting into fights when drunk. Nothing ever came of it though. Why am I not surprised? Someone commented and asked, did someone bully Mike prior to him bullying Kelly? OP responded and said it's never happened. He was always the bully. Even when he was 4 or 5, he was moved to a new class as he was bullying one of his classmates. I can't believe the parents just allowed all this behavior all these years. Well, no wonder this is him as an adult. He's just gotten away with it his whole life. And almost encouraged by his parents with no repercussions, no punishment. This is what OP had to say on her kids being around her parents. OP said, my kids have never been around my parents without either myself or my husband, as I know that they would let my brother be around them unsupervised. They won't be going anywhere near my parents for a long while. They don't like going to my parents' house anyway. So not really a worry then. We're hopping on hydration station before we get to the next update. Let me know what's in your cup, but drink your water. Cheers. You guys, this is the best $30 I ever spent. Okay, look at this darling blanket. It's reversible. Hold on. So that's the one side. And then the other side, it's just bows and pink polka dots. I found it at Marshall's. Isn't it so pretty? It's so thick and cozy. Oh, darling. All right, so the first update came May 18th, 3 days later. Hi all. There were way too many comments for me to respond to, but I tried to read every one of them. I was asked for an update, so here it is. There were a few things that came up repeatedly, so I will address those first. The pranks only started after I left and I had gone to university. He would say things to Kelly and I would have to go back at him when we were younger, but it wasn't actually anything more than that until after I had left home. So there wasn't anything I could really do to stop it. I did speak to our parents, but they are useless. The second thing was about my kids. I didn't bring my kids around them very much as they don't like going to my parents' house. They said it it was boring and they don't like Mike. However, after all the comments I got about this, I sat them down and I asked them again. For my daughter, it really was just that she finds it boring and says that Mike is a weirdo. My son, however, said that he doesn't like being around my dad as he keeps trying to make him play rugby. I've heard these comments and told my dad to drop it, but he still makes the comments occasionally. They really are just hoping for a rugby star, aren't they? Someone will be a rugby player. I had no idea that it was upsetting my son though, so this surprised me. My son doesn't like sports, even watching it or playing. He's very much like his dad in that regard. He's a Pokemon kid, playing online and goes on every Thursday evening to play in a tournament at our local card shop. So rugby is an absolute no-go for him. The third thing was about security at the wedding. I spoke to Kelly and Jake said that 2 of his groomsmen are police officers who are aware of the situation, so that will not be a problem. Lastly, there were a lot of comments about Mike being the golden child. For a bit more of a backstory, he wasn't really the favorite until his talent in rugby came to light. After that, he was special and had to be treated that way. I think he was seen as mom and dad's way of being special themselves within the family, as they had such a super talented child. Anyway, today I decided to sit down with my parents and tell them I needed a break from them. When I got there, my dad immediately wanted me to apologize to my mom, but I said that wasn't going to happen. There was a bit of back and forth between him and I until my mom stepped in and asked why I was there if not to apologize. I told them that I'd spoken to Kelly and she didn't want them at the wedding at all, that they needed to stay away and respect her decision. They weren't happy but said they wouldn't go where they weren't invited. I told them I wanted space until after the wedding, as I couldn't keep being around them and keeping my mouth shut. I thought that space would be good for all of us. My mom wasn't happy and started talking about seeing my kids. I told them the truth. My kids hated coming to their house, and I told my dad exactly why my son doesn't want to be around him. He got upset by this and said that rugby would be good for him. I shut that down and said I'm not going to force my son to do something he does not want to do and something I know he will hate. I also told him that if I hear him mention it again around my son, then he won't see my son again. Right now, they will only be seeing my kids at family events, so I'm hoping that it won't be a problem. I then asked them what their long-term plan with Mike is. Are they going to keep things the way they are until they're 90 and my mom will still be making all of his meals? What happens when they're gone? Who will look after him? Because it won't be me. What happens if they get ill? Who will look after them? Mike isn't capable. Kelly lives down south and I plan on moving back to my husband's hometown 3 hours away once the kids have left home. So I can't do it. They just looked at me blankly. I really don't think that they had ever even thought about any of that before. I told them they had set up Mike to fail and now they needed to deal with it. I also told them that I knew that they were leaving everything to him in their will. What? They're gonna leave everything to him? Everything. But that with how they have babied Mike, he would blow through that money in less than a year, and then what? I could see the panic in my mom's eyes when I said that. She either hadn't thought about it, or she thought that I would look after him, which she now knows is not going to happen. I also think she was shocked that I knew about their will. After me telling them what low contact with me was going to look like going forward, and them not being happy about it, I left. Hopefully, I've given them a lot to think about. I will check in with them from time to time, but that's all right now. I'm going to visit Kelly in the next couple of weeks, so I'm looking forward to that. My extended family have also backed off after I sent them all a text saying if they were so concerned about my mom, then they could be her support system and deal with Mike the same way Kelly and I have had to do it for years. Not surprisingly, none of them wanted to. Let's check out the comments now. This is what OP had to say on her parents' finances and if Mike would get the house. Well, they said everything, so I'm assuming he's getting the house. OP said, my parents don't have much in savings, so Mike will sell the house as quickly as possible and go into the cheapest rented accommodation he can find and probably blow the money on FIFA, nights out, and clothes. He will be broke within a year. He racked up £5,000 on credit cards with FIFA packs before, so most of the money will go there. They don't have much of a savings, but they have the house. They said a few things through the years that indicated he will get that house, as me and Kelly have our own houses. It's just something that I accepted a long time ago. Ugh, I'm violently annoyed, and it's not even my family. Someone asked how OP knew about her parents' will. She said it was an educated guess mostly. They have been hinting for years about myself and Kelly having houses so that we don't need theirs, but Mike doesn't. They only really have the house, so it makes sense that he would get it after the comments they made. Next comment. So I read your original post. Your brother pulled up your sister's dress at a wedding, like exposing her when she was 15 and he was 18 or 19. Was he an adult for most of the torment? I don't blame your children and anyone for not wanting to be near such a creep, and I'm just sad your other family members are cowards and never told off Mike and your parents for this behavior, and they're coddling. OP said the pranks started when he would have been 15-ish. Oh, he was 19 when he pulled up her dress. Ugh. That's so 19 years old and you're lifting up your sister's dress? I'm gonna keep my thought to myself. Next comment. Did I miss something, or is this in the original post? Is Mike disabled in some way? Why on earth would OP's parents assume he will just keep living with them until they die and then need someone to look after him? Most parents with failure to launch children they keep sponsoring seem to assume that something will magically happen to make them grow up and act like functional adults any day now. OP said no, he isn't disabled at all. My parents just keep saying that he's finding himself. Next comment, has Mike ever held a job before? OP said yes, but none that ever lasted more than 6 months. He gets one when he wants something expensive that our parents can't afford, like a PS5, and when he has enough money for it, then he quits. That's if he has not already been fired. Oh, see, I can't handle that stuff, you guys. Adults who act like children and are just lazy and have no goals or perseverance, I can't. It just, It frustrates me, and if you have more patience for it, bless you. You're better than I. Here's a blessing. You're better than I. Couldn't be me. All right, we have another little update that came almost 3 months later, August 16th, 2025. Quick update. So Kelly got married last weekend and everything went without a hitch. Our parents and Mike didn't even try to attend, but I know that my mom did try to contact her a few times before the wedding via other family members. Kelly wasn't interested and made that clear by not responding and or threatening the family members that they would be uninvited as well. That put an end to it. Mike is still a drain on society, according to a cousin of ours. I don't know firsthand as I have not been in contact with him at all. I've spoken to my mom and dad once since the last post, and they haven't changed, so I don't have the energy to deal with them. My kids don't miss them one bit either, so it's not been a problem keeping the kids away from them. Right now, I'm just going to get on with my life with my husband and kids. I've been talking to Kelly a lot more since all of this, which is a huge positive to come out of it. Sorry that there were no dramatics like Mike or our parents trying to storm the wedding, but everything went smoothly. You know, selfishly, that would have been fun to read. However, I wanted Kelly to have a good wedding. She deserves it. We have another update. So I'm a little confused because I'm like, did it not have a happy ending? The other update came over 3 months later, more recently, November 27th, 2025. I think my mom has finally woken up and seen the light when it comes to Mike. It was my son's birthday 2 weeks ago, and my mom reached out to say that she had gotten him some presents. I was a little reluctant to accept the presents, as in the past they had all been rugby based, but she promised that they weren't this time, and I let her come around to my house and give them to my son. Turns out my son is easily bought. A friend of my mom's had gone to Seoul on holiday in October, and my mom had asked her to bring back some Pokemon cards if she could find any. My son loves Asian Pokemon cards and has a whole separate binder just for them. She brought back 20 packs for him. My mom also got him a Pokemon backpack and a teddy and a Funko Pop of his favorite Pokemon. She had really put a lot of thought into what he likes and even went to our local card shop and asked there about what to get him. Needless to say, my son was ecstatic. To me, this showed that she really was trying, and after that, I agreed to meet her for lunch a few days later. She told me me that her and my dad were fighting all the time because of Mike. She had put her foot down and said that Mike needs to get a job and stick with it, and that she isn't going to give him any more money. My dad defended Mike, no surprise there, and said that he just needed more time to find himself. This had led to loads of arguments and my mom going on strike. She isn't cooking for either my dad or Mike and isn't doing their washing or ironing. This is something she had done before when she was royally pissed off. She said that I was right when I told her that they weren't helping Mike by babying him and that he needed to grow up. I was a little shocked by this, but happy about it. I am speaking to her regularly again, and she seems to be adamant about Mike getting and keeping a job. I'm still a little reluctant to trust her fully, as she could very easily go back to how she was before, but I'm calling this a little bit of progress. My dad still has his head up his arse though, no changes there. We will see how Christmas goes and if my mom backs down, but fingers crossed she has turned the corner. Well, there are no other updates as of now, so maybe she hasn't, and maybe there's some positive progress on Mike's side. Probably not, but maybe. Let me know your thoughts on this one, you guys. I'll see you in the comment section. Stay classy out there. Stay sassy. I'll see you tomorrow.